March! My left.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today to Coggeshall Farm for this weekend's Living History event. While we are doing some drilling for a memorial service we're going to be doing later tonight, at 10:45 there's going to be a talk on chocolate during the colonial time period. If you head up to the farm,
not knowing what we know today.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
But I think their constitutions were a little bit better than ours because they dealt with so much dirt all the time. So I don't know.
Hey, thanks for the information.
You're one of the soldiers. Whatever I have, I had to carry on my back because I'm not part of the Army. I was a necessary evil, as Mr. Colonel George Washington used to say. So they tolerated us. So I would get a few of my husband's rations, but not much. If I had kids, I'd have to share that with them. I did go picking cherries I found, so that was yay. But this is not something I would have had at home. This is something that I can carry easily. It's very light. And everything that I own that I'm following the Army has to fit in that basket.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
so that's why I have 2 blankets. One of them is in my thing. That's all I'd have to sleep with. So I didn't have a tent. And they weren't going to carry a tent for me. And they would not carry my stuff for me. So everything that I have, I would have to carry. So
if it rains, you get
Rain, you can
yes,
give it, yeah.
you did. You get wet unless you can find yourself a place where, you know, I can use one of my blankets and put it over something and you can stay relatively dry. Not bad.
What's in the bottle?
That's chamber lye. So chamber lye is the 17th century equivalent of Clorox.
Oh,
Chamber lye is urine.
urine?
Urine. So pee.
Yeah, definitely pee.
Pee. So you let it in this bottle for a couple weeks unopened, and then you put it out in the sun closed for about 3 weeks, and it becomes a nice ammonia.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this stinks pretty badly.
My
that
God.
hat I just did a 4th rinse on. It wasn't here because it had all kind of black stains on it. So
and it works.
It does.
Wow.
It does, because this hat had black, because this is my cooking hat. So of course it had soot all on it, and it's clean. It's not black anymore, but I don't have a sense of smell, but I'm sure if you took a whiff, it would still kind of smell like, yeah.
I believe you.
So, I don't know, I have to have somebody sniff it for me, because I don't know. So I usually have somebody else sniff it, and then I know if I have to do it again, like rinse it again. So I'm waiting for my girlfriend to come over and I'll go, hey, and she goes,
Let's
oh.
try. Wow, thank you.
Here at my table today, I'm representing 18th century men's hair and wigs. So these 2 styles here, a style like this could be a wig intended to use as a fashion accessory. However, I've designed this one actually to look like hair growing from the head that would be dressed in style. Because by the 1770s, a lot of men are wearing their own natural hair and dressing it up and powdering it into elaborate hairstyles. Then you do also have fashion wigs in similar styles which are put on. This one represents a British soldier's haircut. So this wouldn't be a wig, this would be hair growing from the head. Pretty seldom would soldiers wear wigs, and most of the time if they did, it was as a visual trick to make sure the whole unit looked uniform. So if you were balding prematurely, you know, if you had no hair that was able to grow along from the back of your head, or if you had been ill and had your hair cut because of that, or for any reason like that, sometimes there were false half wigs, essentially, that would just be this bit. You could tie it onto your head and have your hat over it, and then have that hanging in back, and that's just so that everyone would have the uniform hairstyle and appearance. So the prescribed haircut for a British soldier was very, very short in the front and top, so cut basically about 2 inches away from the temples, up and over the top, down to the side, and then quite long in the back. Because fall into their faces. It doesn't get matted. They don't have to worry about styling it into any fancy curls or anything like that. But you do still have the hair coming down, which you see from the back of their hats, because all of this silly bit gets covered by that. And that signifier of health and strength, essentially, because if you don't have good, strong, long hair, it's probably because of some ill health reason. It's believed at the time. So
Yeah.
your soldiers are looking like they're really healthy. You have a more united front and a better looking army. Now, I can keep going if you wish. Do you have any questions on what I've said so far?
No, you keep going. It's fine. Thank you.
So wigs in the 18th century, they were made with human hair a lot of the time, but there were also other animal fiber substitutions, which would be less expensive a good amount of the time. So I have here 3 examples of some alternative hair types. You're welcome to feel them if you like. So this one here is horsehair. And you'll notice that each of these has some qualities that is similar to human hair of certain textures. Might be better for
Oh, I
us
think
men.
this one.
So this one is very, very soft.
Yeah.
Here we've got horsehair, which is useful because it can grow very long. It's cut from their tails or from their manes, and so you get very long fibers like you do with human hair to work with. It does tend to be rougher and scratchier, but for styling, it behaves very similar to human hair. This right here, the very soft one in the center, is goat hair.
Oh, okay.
Mohair, if you've heard of it, is hair from a particularly long breed of goat. Now, it is very similar in touch to a soft head of human hair, but if you think about it, goat hair can only grow so long. You don't have the long manes and tails that horses do. So if you're going to use goat hair or hair from an animal that has a shorter fiber, you're going to use it in different parts of the wig. I might not use this to create
Maybe
the
on
back
top?
of it, but a lot of the time the tops
Yeah.
are much shorter
okay,
than
yeah.
the styling is there. So you can substitute in different ways for saving the expense and then also utilizing the natural fibers. You'll also see this one, which is yak hair. And no, we do not have yaks in North America in the 1770s, nor do they have them in England. But by the 1770s, and well before actually, we are a part of a global economy. So just as spices from the Middle East and silks from China and tea, and all of that have been long established on trade roads coming to European nations, we also have there are cultures that domesticate and harvest and yak hair and use that for various purposes. And because of the very crinkly texture of this, it works very well for styling as well. It's not super fine, straight, things fall out of it, slick hair. It's very useful to take just a bit of this and have it make volume and curls. And I have a few other things on the table which I haven't pointed out yet. So these tools here are more for styling hair on the head. So these are curling irons. This one is one that you would see more often used for men's hair. This one is a different type, more frequently used for women's hair in the 1780s and 90s, called a papillote iron. But this variety is just your standard curling iron. So you would place this near the fire so it gets nice and hot. It's useful if you have two, so that you can, while one is being used, the other can be heating up, but you don't have to stop and heat it every time.
Wow.
But you pinch the hair and you can curl it up. Obviously I would do it much nicer. And the heat transfer makes the hair.
Yeah.
You can also have thicker barrels to the tongs as well, so they make wider curls. This is sort of a tendril type look. This curling iron is used, so if you can think of the hairstyles of the 1780s, the sort of hedgehog look it often gets referred to. I think Marie Antoinette towards the end of her reign, where it's kind of a rounded.
Oh, okay. I
frizzy
can
on
imagine
top.
that. Yeah.
That frizz is made with one of these irons.
Oh.
So you take the hair on the head and you small sections. Twist it up, twist it up, twist it until it gets into a little knot. Tiny. And then you've got your heated iron.
Oh, again.
And
Oh,
you squeeze that there, and then
okay.
puts the heat into it. And since it's so twisted up, it's not going to come out as a nice ringlet curl. It'll come out as a crunched up, frizzy mess,
Yeah.
essentially. So you let that out. You let it cool before you go at it
Go.
and styling.
Yeah.
But then you pick apart the knot that you've made, and it makes that big poof of frizzy hair.
Take a while to do that. Oh my God.
Well, it took forever.
Yeah.
It took a very long time, very time intensive to do that style. But that was actually, so popularized originally in France in the early 1780s because of that style of hair. Often nowadays we call it a hedgehog because of the shape of it, but at the time, at least in France, it was called the coiffure à l'enfant, meaning the hair of the child, essentially. So when Marie Antoinette started having children, because of the hormonal shifts she had in early motherhood, she lost a lot of her hair and no longer had the voluminous locks to do the super tall hairstyles that you see. So her hairdresser invented this new style that would take the fine hair that she did still have and make it poofy,
Yeah.
make it voluminous, so that there would still be the aura of hair around, but it wasn't made with long, thick locks to hold into place.
Nice.
And then that style became popular through France, England, the North American colonies, through the 70s.
Aside to be sent to a hospital. We might be treating anyone who's wounded. We might be treating someone who's sick. You get paid a little bit more there. Maybe you get to stay with, like I said, your husband, your brother, your father, your son, whoever it is in the unit that you're following. But it also means you're going to be exposed to more diseases. So for some women, it's a better opportunity. For some women, it's not. Some women would rather do that. Some women wouldn't.
You also get better health care.
You also get better health care if you're in the hospital. But you might need it because you catch whatever disease it is. Now, the nice thing about that is that we're coming from Britain. As British soldiers and British camp followers, most of us, or more of us at least, have come from big cities, which means that we as children were exposed to more diseases like smallpox. So we don't really have to worry quite as much, but Washington's going to find a way to deal with that too in ordering that all of his soldiers are going to be inoculated for smallpox so that they don't all get sick at the same time too, right? I'm getting really sidetracked here. So most of us are doing laundry. Some of us will end up cooking. We kind of designated Mary here as our cook for the followers, but Emma's been helping out. What I'm doing right now is knitting a stocking, which is not necessarily something women would often do in camp, frankly, because we don't usually have the time. We've got other work that we need to be doing. And there are people machine making stockings in Europe, in Germany especially, but also in places like Philadelphia's Germantown. You can imagine there's a lot of Germans living in Germantown, and a lot of them brought their knitting machines with them. And it's, quite frankly, easier and cheaper to just buy stockings. So knitting is certainly something that women were doing in the period, but not necessarily something that you'd be doing for every pair of stockings that you needed. My friend here, though, is darning, and that's basically repairing knit stockings. That is something that every woman would be doing, because once you buy these stockings, sometimes it's going to be cheaper and easier to just fix it rather than throwing it out and buying a new one. Now, if I were a lady, yeah, and the rest of the stocking is fine. If I were a lady, if I were very wealthy, I might either have, maybe I have servants who could darn them for me, or maybe I just hand down those stockings to those servants who will darn them for use for themselves, and I'll buy myself a new pair. But none of us here are ladies. We are all women, we are not ladies. Ladies do not work. And all of us, like I said, have to work in order to move with the Army. Officers' wives don't. They can do whatever they want. We are not officers' wives. So,
have any coffee aficionados in the group? Yeah, you love coffee. What happens when your coffee beans are over roasted?
Tastes nasty.
It ruins it, right? Same thing with chocolate. So if you do not roast your chocolate or your cacao beans effectively, the same thing. It's going to become bitter. It's going to become, right, it's going to ruin the taste of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around just a lightly roasted bean, all right? And I'm going to pass around one that has the shell taken off of it, okay? The one that has the shell taken off of it is going to be the one that's darker in color. You're also going to notice that there's little striations in it, okay? And those little striations actually Okay, so I'll pass a couple of those around. Please do not eat these, which are again just simply those broken up pieces of beef. And I would need to find a way to grate it down into a really fine powder. Now, on a small scale, this is fine, right? It's labor intensive, right? Especially if you've ever used a mortar and pestle before, right? I'm going to pass this around if you want to have a go at it. Basically, again, you're going to be doing my work for me this morning. Thank you. If you want to reward yourself with your hard labor, you can go ahead and...
Yeah, just throw it over there. Yeah, throw it over there. We'll get it.
And the British want to prevent any attack on Newport. Beyond that, what they will be looking for supplies of wood, which is also an issue in the city of Newport on the island. Come winter, that will be a big issue. At the same time, an alliance is signed between the United States and France. News of this will come in a few weeks. Different British garrisons can be picked off. So it's imperative that the British are proactive in making it harder and harder to make Newport indefensible. So if they can do this bloodlessly and simply, they are going to take that opportunity.
Lay down your arms! By order of His Royal Majesty King George III, you are ordered to lay down your arms and allow this farm to be searched for contraband or other activities leading to the rebel cause. Steady, men! Negative. Are you deaf, you stupid farmers? Weapons and disperse. I'll shoot the first person to leave. Skip the ranks. You'd be lucky to try. You corny-faced tough. Go home! You ugly fools! Put your weapons down. Go back to your homes and disperse. Go home.
Disciplined, even in trained corps, units like this might not always be maintained, especially if soldiers have been in garrison too long.
They're breaking.
Officers have not competently been able to control, even with soldiers like this that have been in a few engagements that could be a problem.
Captain, when you're ready.
Now that the militia have dispersed, the force will now search the farm, looking for any contraband or anything that can be used by the rebel cause, by the Continental Army. The soldiers you see closest to you are not Hessians. They will fight most of the war in open order. This is an experienced army. They can do that because they've been drilling for a long period of time. They have seen numerous battles. Now, oddly enough, with all the mythology that we hear about the American Army. Oh, we win the war because we hide behind rocks and trees. That's not true. Guess what? These guys can do it too. But the American Army is a new army. So guess how they will fight most of the war? They will actually fight most of the war directly shoulder to shoulder because this is a new army. Having that person standing right next to you is a morale boost. And just like any of you see out here might not have actually been here in 1778. They're representing soldiers that might have been here in 1778. So the guys closest to us, these guys with green faces and yellow faces, meaning the collar, cuffs, and lapels, are actually in the uniforms worn by soldiers during the Saratoga campaign. Now these soldiers, in 1777, hadn't received their uniforms for the year. You're supposed to get a new uniform each year. Well, what do you do if you don't get a new uniform or a new hat? It's going to wear down. But you're a soldier. You still want to create a military appearance. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to cut down the skirts of your coats. So you'll have this more sporting look. The coats are a little bit shorter on these guys. Your cocked hats, just like the soldiers that you see in the wood line, will be cut down into this almost Roman centurion style, which looks kind of cool and gives a military appearance.
Hey, we're going to the far right because we're supposed to.
Yes, there would have been, well, actually, fighting on the side of the British, but there would have been indigenous fighting on both sides during the conflict. And then groups that will change sides of the conflict going on. Sense of what they're going to do of the Native Americans really isn't very much.
That's good right there.
They're trying to retake the barn.
After they fire their cannon, we spring up and charge.
Yep, that's what we're doing. So give a fire, everybody. Ready?
Wow.
Fire!
He had to run.
you've already seen it once there. Yeah. Okay. He played it like